Hi guys, so welcome to the another part of NestJs series. Today we are going to learn about how to set up environment variables in our NestJs application. So let's start. So here we have the documentation of NestJs, and now we are going to see how we can configure our application. So this is the service that we are going to use. It's called the ConfigService, and for configuring that service in our application, we need to install this NestJs/config package. First, we have to open the our app. Let's see, we have nest. Oh, sorry. So we have nest.yt. Let's open it on our VS Code. All right, so we have our app open, and now what we have to do is we need to go over Chrome, copy this command and install it in our application. Let it do its thing. Alright, so in the meantime, we can learn how we can set a config service. So what it says is NestJs/config package internally uses .env package, which is the npm package for setting up, configuring environment variables in our package. So yeah, it uses .env package in the internally, but yeah, we don't need to do anything else. We just need to install this package, and we can configure it just like that. What we have to do for the first step is we have to go to our app.module.ts file, and yeah, we have to import our config module. So that config module comes from NestJs/config module, which we are installing in our app. So right, we can see that the package is installed. Now we go to source folder, app.module, and here we have the imports. So what it says is we have to import the config module dot for root. It's just a property of config module, and we'll just import it in the app module file. So we'll write config module, and it's imported from NestJs config, and we'll say for root now. And yeah, so we have to give it a file from which the variables will be fetched by this config module, and then will be used in the in the repository. So that file will be .env file. So let's create the .env file, and let's say we'll just write these two variables. Okay, cool. For like having different values, we can just say password here, and for the user we'll just say test. So yeah, so we can also define different env file paths. We can define different envs like .env development .env. We can define env.development.local, env.development, other things also. So we can also say to ignore the environment file for a while, just in case if we need to do so. Like it's written here that if we want to import our environment variables from our shell instead of this env file, then we can ignore the env file from here, and it will just import the environment variables from the shell. So mostly all the environment variables are global, so we'll make the module global. So we'll just open an object, and we'll say is global, and we say it's true, right? Okay, so what it's doing is we'll just need to configure this, and yeah, So now it's fine, there is no error. Yeah, so we have to restart our application. Start the application in the watch mode, and yeah, so now we have our environment variables here, we have our module configured here. What is needed right now is we'll just need to instantiate our config service here. So if we have our app service already defined here, that's fine. If we are having any of the service configured here, then we can just configure our services like this. So let's give it a comma, say it's a private service, and we'll say config service, and right now give it config service, right? So that config service is imported from nestjs.config module, and right now it's just an indentation problem, right? What we will do right now is we'll just give it like this, give it a comma, and now there is no error, right? Okay, so now we'll just write this, like to get the environment variable from the from the config service. We'll just say this dot config service, since it's being connected to, it's being instantiated as from the constructor, we can just get that service from this keyword. And then what we will say is it's a string, since we are using TypeScript, we'll say it's a string. And yeah, that our variable name, so that make sure that our variable name should be a string, not sometimes we use our environment variable like this, but it should not be a it should not be a JS variable or TS variable, it should be a string. So that should be the thing. Right now we haven't done anything now, and yeah, now it's all. So right now we haven't done anything, we are just console logging this environment variable, that database user environment variable. And yeah, so how is it coming? So if we are since we have app controller here, and there is nothing defined inside the controller and nothing defined inside the get and get hello, so we'll just make a call on postman. Let's go to the postman. We'll just go inside localhost 3000, and since our app is running at localhost 3000, we'll just give it a call and say send. We get the hello world, but notice that environment variable is not coming from here, since we are not just we are just not returning, we are just console logging. So we can say our environment variable is right here, this is our console. Okay, cool. So right now we are using this service in our controller. What if we have to use it in our service? Then we'll just need to remove this. We can just format it like this, and go to the app service, and we can define the constructor like this and say it's a private constructor service, and we give it a config service. Cool. So that config service is imported from nestjs/config module, and give it an object that config service will go inside this. And if we just use that service here, let's do one thing. Let's, instead of console logging, let's return the config variable. So what we will just do is use the concatenation. Let's use the template literal actually. Right now what we are doing is define the variable like this. We go to config service dot get. Right now, since it's TypeScript again, we'll just write yeah, so this is the variable name. Cool. Yeah, so it says due to the prettier error. We'll just write it like this, and then we'll get our environment variable database URL in the postman. Now let's send our API call again, and yeah, since we are getting it's not a database URL, it's a database user, I guess. Yeah, so this is the database user. What we are going to use now is say database user, and yeah, so this is how we get this. Just give it a space, and then yeah, see, we are getting our environment variable here. So this is how we are getting our environment variable. We can define it however we like. We can configure our database. Let's write db user and this.config. Let's write it here and give it database user here, and write password here, and then write password here. Cool. So now we'll just use database db user, and then again we'll just say db password. Cool. And then if we send this, we get test and password. So this is how we can define our environment variables inside the NestJs. Either it be a service or be a controller. We can just configure our service right inside the constructor, and we can use everything that is configured inside the app service using this keyword. So we can use this keyword and then this config service name, and that config service is linked from this config service. We can even use it as or anything. We can say it like our env service. There could be any other name. So we can just copy it here, paste it here, and then paste it here, and then it will again give us the same result. Cool. But yeah, due to just the convention, we'll just write config service here. So that's it, guys. I hope you learned about how you can configure environment variables in the NestJs application. If you are having any doubts, please comment below and subscribe to my channel. Thanks again.